What's going on, everybody? So my name is Trace Cummings, and I own Absolute Lawn Care and Landscaping. And the past couple weeks, I've been getting a lot of questions on, Trace, how do I start a lawn care landscape business? So I'll give you a little brief summary on how I started. I basically started in the back of my pickup truck. I was in real estate before I got into landscaping. And during that time in real estate, I really wasn't making a whole lot of money. It was really difficult for me to provide for myself. I don't have any kids, I have a dog, and I could hardly pay for dog food for Georgia, my dog. And so during that time, I was hosting open houses on the weekends, and then during the week, I really didn't have a big customer base. So they had this Facebook group with our real estate office, and I constantly saw need a lawn care guy, need a landscaper. So I just started plugging my name in there. I would say, hey, call this guy, I recommend him. I would show up and they'd say, Trace, aren't you a realtor in our office? And so I said, yes, but I also do lawn care, landscaping on the side. So that's really how I got started. So I started cutting grass for the local listings. I had a little bit of money from some of the houses I sold, some of the leases that I did, to where I went on Facebook Marketplace and picked up a piece of equipment and really just baby stepped it. Oh, Miss Jones asked me to trim some hedges, so I would cut as many listings as I could to go buy a piece of equipment to trim Miss Jones's hedges. And then eventually that turned into a full-time business where now I'm 5 years in. We got a great team of people. I no longer do real estate. I'm fully committed to landscaping and providing service all across the Houston area, where we do landscape design, install, and we also maintain. So that's a brief summary of how I started. And so, like I said, the past couple weeks I've been having a lot of questions on, Trace, how do I start a business? So step one, you just need to get started. I think a lot of people, try to create this big, massive business plan and wait for the right time, but it delays the process of actually getting started. So I would recommend, if this is what you want to do, whether it's lawn care, landscaping, or any business, go get started and go get that first customer. Once you have one customer, take care of that customer and put all your heart and soul into that one customer, and that will turn into two. And then put the same energy and your heart and soul into those two, and that will turn into three, and then 4, and then 10, and then 20, and then 100, and then 1,000. So, like I said, get one customer, okay? And that would be step number one. So once you got that first customer, next step is equipment. So you need equipment in order to service that customer. So if it's landscaping, provide a quote, a text message, or on a piece of paper. Hey, Ms. Jones, this quote is going to be for this amount, and this is what we're doing. You could even do a Word document. There's public libraries where you can rent computers or use computers. Ask a friend, hey, can I borrow your computer? Or ask your girlfriend, boyfriend, whatever, hey, can you type up some sort of Word document to where I can present to this customer? Okay, so once you get a quote approved, you have a deposit. You take that deposit, you go buy the material you need, as well as the equipment you need. Do not go buy the most fancy equipment right off the rip. I see a lot of Instagram and YouTubers, they say, go buy the $100,000 truck, the excavators, the ditch witches. I think all of that equipment is very important, but not when you're starting out. Baby step this, get a wheelbarrow, get a shovel, and a little bit of elbow grease, and you can get it done, okay? If you're doing lawn maintenance, okay, Facebook Marketplace is awesome. You got to be really careful with that. There's a lot of really bad people on the internet that are trying to take advantage of people. So I just want to make that clear. Be very, very careful. I always went to my friends and family. Hey, I'm starting a lawn care landscape business. I'm looking for XYZ equipment. Is there any way that you could help me? Or do you know of somebody that's looking to sell? So whenever I did that, when I was looking for equipment, I actually sold a lawn care package to that customer I bought the equipment from. So I actually serviced that person for about 1.5 years after he sold me the equipment for $100. So he sold me a mower, an edger, and a blower. It was a blessing from above, to be honest. But I bought it for $100 and I serviced him for about 1 year. So at the end of year one, we were still operating out of our truck, a work bed. We didn't have a trailer. So leaf season came around and we just didn't have the capacity to have all of our equipment in the bed of the truck. And what I did, kind of same time, I went and bought a trailer as well as a storage unit to where I could put all of my equipment, my trailer inside that storage unit, and I drove that truck back to my apartment. In my case, I was very fortunate. During real estate, I was living at my parents' house, and I was very fortunate because my dad allowed me to park my equipment inside of his garage. I stayed there for about 7 months, and then I ended up getting my own apartment. During that time, or that transition, I was wheeling all of my equipment into my apartment. After the first year of business, where I was able to collect cash, we had some form of cash flow, I was able to go get my first storage unit. That storage unit costed me $100 a month, so really not bad. We stayed in that storage unit for about a year and then we outgrew it. And then in about 3 or 4 months, I got another storage unit where it was a little more expensive. I was paying around $300 a month. We stayed in that storage unit for about another 3 months or so, and we completely outgrew it. So we were growing pretty quickly. That next storage unit costed me $500. It was a 15 by 50, and I was in that storage unit for about a year. And then I ended up getting the next door storage unit, which was also a 15 by 50, and I completely outgrew that in about a year and a half. So now we're in a 3,000 square foot shop, and the office space is roughly 1,200 square feet, where we have 4 offices, people inside of it that work out of it daily. So again, baby steps. You don't need the big fancy office right off the rip. Just focus on servicing your customers and allowing the cash flow and make smart financial decisions. Step 1, get a customer. Step 2, equipment, and then you're ready to rock and roll. Okay, so once you have a customer, once you got equipment, now is a good time to start figuring out a business name. So you still want to focus on servicing those customers. Do not stop servicing them, okay? After you do those things, you need to figure out a business name. Once you found out a business name, I would go on a quick Google search to see if it's even available in your state or your area. I would then go to the county clerk's office and register your business under a DBA, doing business as. Once you do that, you're gonna get an EIN number, okay? Once you get your EIN number, you're gonna go to the bank and you're gonna open up a business account, okay? We're not popping bottles, we're not doing anything crazy with this account. This is for business purposes only, okay? So once you have your business name, you also want to make sure that you get the proper insurance. So you need to have general liability. If you have employees, you need to make sure you got workman's comp. And then you need to make sure you have insurance on all your vehicles. Depending on the kind of equipment you have, you might also get insurance on the equipment, but insurance is very, very important. If somebody gets hurt on a job, you need to have a little bit of something to help support that, because injuries are very, very expensive and you could possibly get sued if you don't. Another thing is when you're working on customers or properties or even commercial, they require you to have some sort of COI, so certificate of insurance. So they're going to make sure that the service provider has the proper documentation to work on their property. That would be step number 3. So once you've completed those 3 steps, next step number 4 would be to start marketing your business, okay? You don't need to go on Google and start freaking hammering advertising unless you have the funds or the means to do so. When I did it, I just went on Nextdoor. These are all free apps: Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn. These are all free platforms that you can start marketing your business. So whenever you created your business name, make sure to have the same business name in the handle so customers can easily find you. And again, I would strongly encourage you guys to make sure you're reaching out to your friends and family. Those are going to be your network group, if you will, and constantly stay top of mind. So let them know every time you see them, hey, I just started a landscape business. Do you know of anybody that's looking for a lawn care landscaper or plumber or electrician or whatever trade that you're in? So that would be step number 4. Get on social media and start plugging away. Another thing that helped me is I actually got on Google and I created a Google My Business. It's free, and just start documenting your work. So taking before and after photos, taking videos. I know it can be tough, especially when you're in the field. You're not even thinking about taking photos and videos, but I strongly encourage it because it definitely helps. Another thing that you could do is door knocking. That was a really big role that I did whenever I first started because I didn't have any customers. So I would just go door to door, and once you have that first customer, it makes it a little bit easier to go to those doors. So you can go to the neighbors and say, hey, my name is Trace. I take care of Miss Jones. I've been servicing her property now for a couple weeks. I'd love for you to give me the opportunity to service your property, whether it's landscaping or lawn maintenance. So door knocking helps, and social media. So step number 5 would be getting help. Okay, so after the first year of business, I ran completely solo, so by myself. Towards the end of year 1, that's whenever I hired my first real employee. So what I did was I got on QuickBooks. I think I got like the base plan. I think it was $29 a month or something fairly inexpensive. So I got on QuickBooks. I used their social. They filled out a W-4, and I was able to run payroll through QuickBooks. So year 1, I got some help. I would recommend, some sort of payroll platform. QuickBooks is awesome. ADP, I've heard a lot of great things about that as well. But something where you can make this legit, where you can pay someone correctly. We're not doing under the table sketchy stuff, okay? We're running a real business here, okay? Once you get help, do not lose sight and focus of servicing those customers. So every step here, you want to be focused on the customer. So you want to make sure that you provide the best service possible. So the reason I hired that one person at the end of my first year is I just did not have the capacity to do it all by myself. Got to a point where I had so much work that one person, there's just no way you could possibly do that. So at the time, I was doing about 1 landscape job a month. And then as far as lawn maintenance, I was servicing roughly 10 to 11 yards per day. So quite a bit for just 1 to 2 man crew. At the end of year 1, I kind of knew I needed help in order to grow. I ended up hiring my next person about 3 or 4 months later. So I had a total of 2 employees under me, and they really just helped with lawn care and landscaping. So after 3 months or so, I started the business December of 2019, hired my first employee roughly December, maybe a little sooner, of 2020. I hired my next person, I guess it was February of 2021. And so at that point, we were still servicing those same clients. I wasn't taking on any new customers. But now what I did was we were servicing those maintenance customers Monday through Wednesday. We just compressed all those customers into those days. And then Thursday, Friday, we were doing landscaping. I just really baby stepped this. I just allowed the bank account to stack cash, and whenever I needed a piece of equipment, I would go buy it outright. So wheelbarrows, chainsaws, blowers, drills, compactors, whatever it is, I would go get it for that job. At the end of that year, we ended up having a total of 4 employees. So we've kind of almost doubled the business in terms of people and revenue. And so I think it's really dependent upon you and how fast you want to grow. If I was to start all over again, I could probably get to this point that we're at within 1 year. It's really dependent upon the actions that you take and the stress levels that you're willing to go through, and as well as capital. If you're smart with your capital, you can grow pretty quick. So to run a business, this is probably one of the most important steps, to be honest with you. As you get bigger, it's pretty easy to maintain one customer, but when you have 20, 50, 100, 1,000 customers, you can't just do it off your phone. So you need some sort of CRM system, some sort of software that can manage all these customers, where you're able to invoice, send customers quotes, have some sort of accounting log, and scheduling. So the people that are working for you, they need some form of scheduling and some sort of system to go off of to run the business. So I would say that's one of the most important steps. So what I did roughly about a year into the business, I got QuickBooks, like I said earlier, for payroll. And then the next software that I got was a software called Jobber. So I was able to charge credit cards, keep credit cards on file, schedule, invoice, and really just run my business all through this, as well as our employees that were with me at the time could see their schedule and their route, what they were doing. Another cool thing about that is you can take photos and you can document what you did. So a lot of those photos that those guys were taking, and girls, I would use that content for social media. So it's kind of two birds, one stone type deal. So I would highly recommend, you get a software system, do your research. There's tons of them out there. I use Jobber, there's Service Titan, there's Aspire, there's all kinds of great software companies. But like I said, just do your due diligence and don't break the bank, especially right off the rip. So once you guys start looking for software, like I said before, I use Jobber. I'm gonna go ahead and put our link down below in the description. And then if you sign up, you get a reward for signing up, as well as it helps us out too. So now that you have all of these things, I would guess you're probably, if you have the capital, like I said, you could do this a lot quicker. But if not, you could baby step all of this and you could do all of this within a year, depending on how hard you work. But once you have the people, once you have the software, you got the customers, you got the equipment, now is a good time to start marketing. You need to market your business. Paid marketing is going to blow your business up. Okay, so there's a lot of great things. You could save money by doing this, but in my case, I didn't know how to do it, so I went ahead and hired a marketing agency to run my marketing. They are still with me today. So what I did when I started was I actually learned about this company through a friend of mine who owned a roofing business, and he referred me to him, and he basically asked what my goals were, and he told me the things that he recommended that we do. So when I started, I was paying roughly around $1,000 to $1,500 a month for marketing, and really what we were spending money on was driving traffic to our website. So it was a lot of paid search. So this was all on Google, SEO, paid search. I did that for a couple months, and as more customers came in and I was able to get more work, I then used that capital for LSA, and we started spending a little bit more money. But I stayed around $2,000 for about a year. I want to say that was my third year in business. And then the next year, we ended up jumping up to $6,000 a month. So again, this is how I did it. You can do it however you want, but I highly recommend having a very clean website, nice photos, clear writing. I would spend the money and maybe hire someone to run the website and have all the coding correctly. You can do all this fairly inexpensively, and then get with a marketing agency where they know what they're doing. So there's all kinds of things you can do on Google. You can also market on Facebook, Instagram, but make sure that whoever you hire knows what they're doing, because time is money, and you want to make sure that people are spending the money on marketing and it's just not going out the window. So just make sure whoever you hire knows what they're doing and they're using the funds properly. So another thing is branding. You want to create a cool logo. What I have here on my shirt is a logo of our company. Get with a designer, someone who is going to take care of creating a logo that's professional, it's clean, and basically create nice uniforms for your team as well as yourself. And then depending on if you have the funds, you could wrap your trucks. We have wraps on all of our trucks. They're just partial wraps. They're nothing crazy. I think I spent maybe around $500 or $600 a truck. We didn't go too crazy. There's some other companies that spend a couple grand. I think that's great. I personally wanted something that's very clean, simple, straight to the point. And then we have some verbiage on the back, always hiring great people. That's what I stand for. I think team is everything. And if you want to go far, go together. So once you have the marketing, once you have the branding, you got the software, you got the people, you got the equipment, you got the customers, now you should start seeing quite a bit of cash flow coming in. As long as you're taking care of those customers, you should see that coming in. Next thing I would recommend is going to get a CPA. So a CPA is going to help out with your taxes, and they're going to help keep up with your books. So me personally, I do not have any sort of bookkeeping background. And so when I went and hired a CPA, my books were in complete shambles. I was doing my books completely wrong. And I think that's so important. Like knowing your numbers is very, very important, and you should be looking at those daily. So I went and hired a CPA. I cycled through a couple CPAs just because I was kind of thrown around. They weren't taking me very seriously. So I went through 2 CPAs at the time and then finally found the one that I'm still currently with. So I've been with this CPA now for 3 years and they've been great. We have monthly check-ins and they reconcile my books almost daily. So I look at those often. So what I'd recommend for you once you're at that point, go get a CPA. It'll save you time, it'll save you money, and especially on your taxes. So taxes are pretty important. So next couple steps would be to hire great people. So when I started, I hired people based off of friends and people those friends knew. And I didn't really have the best people working for me at the time. And as time went on, I found better and better people. Cash flow was coming in and I had the capital to pay people a little bit better. I had some really awesome people along the way that were fantastic, and I just didn't have the means to keep them on our team. Some of those people are off doing awesome stuff in the world, but at the time I didn't hire the best people. So next thing I would recommend is getting on something called ZipRecruiter or Indeed and having legit interviews. So having questions ready to go that can help guide you through the process of hiring. It's good to prepare the day before or a couple days before those interviews. Make sure to schedule times and make it professional. So when you schedule these interviews, it's very important that you set the tone, because the people that are coming in for interviews, they're also looking at you to see if this is something they could build a career on. So it's really important that you set the tone and the atmosphere for those people coming in. And like I said, having those questions ready and cycling through those people and having legit interviews. Do not hire the first person that comes in like I did. If you don't like any of the candidates, continue hiring. You might be in a bind where you need people ASAP, but I promise you, take the time and find the right person and it'll pay off in the long run. So once you have the right people on your team, you can start delegating tasks. So after about 1.5 years, close to 2 years in business, I was finally able to get out of the field full time. So at the time I was in the truck, I was working, I was doing the landscaping myself, I was doing the cutting of the grass myself. Like I said, after 1.5 years, 2 years, I finally got out of the business and I really just focused on sales. So I was able to delegate my tasks to my team members where they could drive a truck and a trailer to these customers' houses and perform the work. However, I was still doing sales, I was doing project management, I was doing invoices, I was doing all these things, and eventually I didn't have the capacity to do anymore. So what did I do? I went and hired more people to answer the phones. I would say that's one of the most important things after you have your crew set. Get someone to handle the phones and maybe do a little bit of invoicing. You want to make sure that you train them properly to do their job, and then you can build on top of that. So once you start delegating, you can focus on other tasks within the business that's going to move it forward. So after that 2 years of being in the field, and when I got out, I really was able to focus on sales, because at the time I was really just meeting with customers on the weekends or in the afternoon, evening, when I would finish my yards or finish the landscape project that I was on. So when I got out, I was really able to focus on selling more customers. And in order to grow a business, you need sales. So now that you have a great team of people under your belt and you have the equipment, you have the customers, now you need to be the boss, right? You need to focus on growing the business and delegating the tasks that are going to move it forward. So now we have a great team of people. We have an account manager, we have a project manager, we have an office manager, and these people are crucial to the business and they help it run smoothly. We also have a team of people in the field where they actually perform the work and get the jobs done. So it's very important that all of these people align towards one mission, and that's providing the best possible experience and service the customer could have. So my job now is really I'm focused on sales and marketing, making sure that our brand, our name is out there, and I'm constantly focused on SEO, LSA, advertising for the business to make sure that my schedule and our account manager's schedule is completely stacked with new customers and or old customers to where we can focus on retention. So that's kind of what I do on a day-to-day basis. I'm constantly looking at numbers, making sure that our budgets are on track. We're not over budget. We have room to spend elsewhere on equipment or more staff. That's kind of what we use. So a lot of times I look at P&Ls and balance sheets. I look at cash flow statements on a pretty regular basis. So that's kind of my day-to-day now. I'm constantly learning. I'm 5 years in and we're just getting started. All right, guys, so that's how I got started. If you like this video, make sure to comment down below. Let me know how you got started. I'd love to see those comments and learn a little bit about you guys. If you have any questions or if there's something I missed, make sure to DM me. I'd love to help you. And make sure to like and subscribe. The number one thing is just getting started, guys. So don't drag your feet, get it, and go make that money, man.